Dr. Hellyer, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, why do you think Saad Hariri is still in Saudi Arabia?
Well, I think it's clear that he's still there because he can't leave. The question is why he tendered his resignation in the first place. That's very unclear. There are all sorts of theories and speculations ongoing at present as to what's going on. Has this got something to do with Hezbollah in Lebanon? Is it part of the broader Saudi-Iranian struggle within the region? But the reality is that we don't quite know what's going on, and I suspect we won't know for at least a few more days or a few more weeks at that. But certainly, I think he's in Saudi because he can't leave.
Well, the French president visited and said he didn't believe that Saad Hariri was being held against his will.
I can't speak for the French president, but his private plane did go back to Beirut. There are quite a few people in Beirut at present that have gone on, not on the record, but have gone off the record. And you've seen this reported in different media outlets about the fact that they sincerely don't believe that he's been able to return. And were he completely open and free, then I suspect we would have seen a lot more activity online through pictures or tweets or whatever. Or he would be already back in Beirut. So he obviously is not leaving for a reason, and we still don't know what that reason is.
Now, people watching this may think, well, prime ministers step down all the time. It happens and they're simply replaced. What's happening in Lebanon that's stopping Lebanese politics from moving ahead, basically finding a new prime minister and just getting on with it?
Yeah, you're right. Prime ministers do resign all the time. They usually resign in the country that they're actually prime minister of. They don't usually go somewhere else in that regard. But the post of prime minister in Lebanon is a very sensitive one. This goes back many years, so I don't know if we can get into it right now. But the way in which confessional denominations in Lebanon occupy particular posts and how these different parties engage on the public level, this is fairly complicated. And so far, you've had quite a few significant political figures within Lebanon refusing to acknowledge the resignation, saying, no, the resignation does not take effect until the prime minister returns to Beirut and tenders his resignation in Beirut, and they're insisting on that process taking place. So I think that this will be a political tussle for a little bit more longer.
Now, I guess the nub of this is what Rex Tillerson had to say. He's warning against any kind of proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran. Can you explain why he might be saying things like that?
He may be saying it in reference to certain statements that his own president has been issuing over the past few months. And certainly the Trump administration has been very clear about where they sit on the side of that proxy war. But certainly Lebanon has enough problems on its plate at the moment without needing to become yet another battleground for supporters of Saudi or supporters of Iran to kind of duke it out when it comes to things happening on the local and domestic level. Having said that, I do think there's a little bit of hysteria when it comes to this issue. People in Lebanon tell me that actually things are pretty calm. You see a lot of worry outside, and I think worry is warranted, but I do think that we need to keep things in perspective. Lebanon may be fragile in many ways, but it's also a very strong place in many ways. And I would expect that the Lebanese people will be able to come through this safe and sound.
Right, Dr. Hellyer with the Atlantic Council, thank you very much for that analysis. We'll have to wait and see what happens.